And we're back here right now, Bajan, with our Wisdom series, which is available for you guys online, on demand, and also right now on air with you guys on Radio D Hotties Network. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Good Morning Bajan at 9:30 a.m. And yes, this particular series is made possible by this wonderful organization called Pragya.org and also by this wonderful gentleman called Dr. Shani Robbins, who actually is a professor at Stanford and also as a multiple professor at different colleges and also co-authored many books on positive psychology and also articles on wisdom therapy and also on mindfulness. We have with us him in the studio right now. Hi, Dr. Shani Robbins. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Wonderful to have you back in studio, and we're continuing talking about wisdom skills. And it was an excellent session, and in fact, I got feedback about the wonderful joke you shared about the New York hot dog vendor.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you liked it.
Yeah, I just learned one thing that you like to talk about people at New York because previously you talked about somebody going and asking directions from somebody in New York.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit.
The joke there was practice, 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 right? How do you
That's-
get to Carnegie Hall in New York? And the person said, practice, practice, practice.
right.
Now, if you want to say what is the mantra for our show, it is practice, practice, practice. We talked about some skills, and one, of course, was mindfulness, and also we talked about humility. And again, this one more thing which I've seen you talk about in your conversations, and also reading articles which you have written and everything. So, emotional intelligence is something which comes up. Sometimes I feel it's a buzzword. Everybody talks emotional intelligence, but I don't know how many of them understand what emotional intelligence actually is. We don't understand what IQ is, intelligence. When you say emotional intelligence, can you talk about what exactly it is, and is it something which everybody's capable of, or is it something which is a skill
Right.
which people can build on? Can you share on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's sometimes people say IQ doesn't change much, and there's some evidence that it doesn't. It's true that it doesn't change much. But emotional intelligence can change dramatically, and it could change at any age. And so some of this work I've been also doing in schools, some of it I do in the workplace. And so people treating each other well in the workplace, and as a consequence, they're more productive and so on, increasing their well-being. And so there's a lot of positive benefits of that. The research now is that for every dollar spent in the workplace, for example, in emotional intelligence training, the company gets about $10 back. It's not just a 20 or 30% interest. It's something like 1,000% interest.
Wow.
And so it's if a bank gave 1,000% interest, a lot of people would be putting money in it. And so it's that kind of returns on skill sets that are very profound. And so
Coming back to those things, sorry, I'm cutting short on that, but when you say emotional intelligence and intelligence are two different things, I still do not really understand what the difference is. Can you talk about that? Because I still don't understand the connection of emotion and
yeah, so
intelligence.
cognitive intelligence is mostly problem solving, reasoning, and so on.
The logical part.
The more the cognitive rational part.
Okay.
The emotional intelligence is defined across several models as the common denominator is this. When you're feeling a certain emotion like anger, how quickly do you realize that you're angry? Does it take seconds, minutes, hours? Do you realize it when you're frustrated or irritated, or does it wait till you get to rage and yelling and screaming and name calling before you fully realize, oh, I'm angry right now, maybe I should chill down a little bit?
Oh, wow.
And so part of what emotional intelligence is literally that. It's how early, how soon do we catch our emotion as it's being activated?
So when you say emotions, and you talked about workplace, you talked about school, so any kind of emotion which comes up in that environment.
Frustration, irritation, anger, anxiety, stress are the common ones.
Wow. So again, so oh wait, does emotion intelligence actually come as a wisdom skill as well?
Absolutely, because the question is, first, are we aware of the emotions as they come up? So notice there's a mindfulness piece to that as well, being
Correct.
aware. So am I aware that I'm frustrated now? And the next step of emotional intelligence, what do I do about it? So if I realize I'm getting frustrated, do I start taking deep breaths? So do I lower my breathing from my chest down to my diaphragm, do diaphragmatic breathing? And if I do that, and take 2 or 3 deep breaths, suddenly I'm relaxing my body, so I'm regulating my emotions. So that's step 2. Step 1, awareness of your emotions. Step 2, regulating your emotions.
So this is being emotionally intelligent.
That's part of it.
Okay.
Another part of it, am I aware of somebody else's emotions? So there's an empathy part of emotional intelligence as well.
Okay.
And I know I'm feeling frustrated, but what are you feeling right now? And so can I give enough bandwidth to that? And do I have the skill set to even be aware of what you're doing?
So if I were to explain to somebody in terms of just breaking it down further, aware of the other person, as in how is that beneficial for someone to be aware of what other person is feeling?
Well, if you're blind to what, let's make this concrete, a romantic relationship, and your partner is feeling frustrated or irritated or upset, angry, and if we're not aware that they're beginning to feel frustrated or irritated, well, very soon that irritation, frustration is going to start escalating to something else like anger, rage. And so
The relationship goes south afterwards.
and it starts going south, we start getting into conflict and arguments and yelling, screaming matches. And
I can see the thing. So if it were to be a setting of a sales call or a buying and selling transaction, if you don't know what the customer wants, probably you
So
might not be able to.
That's a good point. So there's that too. So it's not just the well-being part of it and good relationships part of it. It's literally the productivity part of it, and that's probably accounts for a high percentage of why companies who have people that get trained in this, in emotional intelligence, are actually dramatically more productive. Literally more dollars come into the company by far, by literally a few 100%.
So question comes up. So is it emotional intelligence related to social skills by any chance?
So absolutely, and that's what we were talking about before. The relationship part of it is, am I aware of myself? Am I aware of what I want and what I'm thinking? Am I aware of what you're thinking, what you want? And can I regulate myself? So let's say you tell me, Shani, you suck at that, and you begin to insult me. Do I take that personally, for example? Or do I say, oh, I'm feeling insulted. Why do I feel insulted? And I start examining that. Or I'm feeling frustrated that you're saying X, Y, and Z to me. And if I can start introspecting and understanding what my emotions are, and even better yet, what thoughts are related to those emotions. So for example, am I assuming that I am incompetent in some way, and that's why I'm feeling insulted from what you said? So you may not even have insulted me. You might have just said, are you interested in doing that? And I took that as an insult of you saying I'm not good at that.
Okay.
And so I interpret it as an insult. Why is that? Are the cognitive distortions there?
Okay.
So you see how the other skill sets are related to that.
So when you talked about when you started talking in the segment, you said that traditional intelligence or the IQ quotient is sometimes permanent. But how about EQ, like emotional intelligence, the quotient of emotional intelligence? Is that something which people can grow with, or can they build on top of it? What is your take on that part?
So in general, there's several people in the field that talked about multiple intelligences, and then Salve and Mayer in 1987 coined the term emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman wrote the book that made it famous. And so across all these models, there's lots of compelling evidence that when you practice these skills, when you practice, am I irritated right now? Am I angry right now?
Which is mindfulness.
Can I take a deep breath, right? The mindfulness starts the process with awareness. Then I can regulate it with deep breathing. I can become curious. Am I bringing cognitive distortions to the situation?
Humility comes in automatically when you understand you're not all that.
And that's right. That's right. If we know we're not all that, why am I even arguing and yelling right now?
True.
If I may change my opinion next year.
Correct.
And so all of these skill sets are feeding into each other. So as people listen to the different segments, you'll start getting an explicit awareness that how these things help each other, and just in the way you said.
So in other words, so it is possible for people to actually build their EQ.
Absolutely. The practice, and we know that empirically. So there are now assessments for EQ. The EQI, for example, by Baron, is a very high validity reliability questionnaire. It assesses multiple pieces of emotional intelligence components. If you test people at time 1 and train them at time 2 and then test them again and then compare that to a control group who didn't get that training, you see that the increases in the treatment group are dramatically higher than anything the control group probably did. And
Wonderful.
so you're seeing the increases, and it's not on the order of even months, even on the order of weeks, you see dramatic increases. And this stuff doesn't just happen in a workplace or in relationships and counseling, it also happens in school systems.
Wow.
So there's probably a fun joke that's worth going to that goes to this idea that how we take something influences our emotional reaction. If we don't sweat it, if we take something lightly, or even if we have high self-esteem, we tend not to get insulted. So the joke is, little Johnny is drawing a picture, and the teacher comes by and says, what are you drawing? And little Johnny says, I'm drawing a picture of God. And the teacher sort of condescendingly smiles and says, but nobody knows what God looks like. And little Johnny beams with pride and says, they will now. So,
That's self-confidence, I would say. And,
so
yeah,
and
it's
so he
good.
didn't take it as an insult. He was very happy with himself.
Yeah.
But of course, if Johnny is 5, it's cute. If Johnny is 35, somehow that shifts from confidence to maybe arrogance or something else, maybe even delusional.
And of course, Bajan, if you're listening to the series right now, you understand what exactly it is. And many of the skills he's talked about also, we as people who probably are from the Eastern culture, we understand many of these things already are there in our culture. And his study, I think Dr. Shani Robbins' study is on wisdom therapy. He has pioneered this concept of wisdom therapy. And in this wisdom therapy, he brings in the philosophies of Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy together. Am I right about that, Dr. Shani?
Absolutely, that's
And
right.
how actually it is practical for us, because the world itself is now shrinking, as we know, technology wise, and many of us coming from a different collective environment to an individual environment over here and trying to survive and make a living here. Yes, there will be conflicts, there will be challenges comes our way, but if we use these skills effectively, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Robbins, so you would be able to pretty much deal with most of the anxiety levels comes to you in your lives.
That's right. And the notion of what we said, living a developmentally oriented life, means literally looking for opportunities to practice. So once people embrace these as the 6, 7 skills to practice, and now there's 100 years of research data to suggest that these are critical skills that are the ones that are highly correlated with success, good relationships, productivity at work, healthy body. These are the critical skills. And so once we do that and hone in on these skill sets, it's just now literally a matter of practice. And so we don't have to go looking for pieces to practice. I mean, every day is filled with traffic and waiting in lines and people saying things that we take as insults. All of those are opportunities to practice. And so rather than just feeling anxiety or anger from now on, every time we feel stress, anxiety, and anger, or even sadness, or we can, yes, have that feeling. And now the mindfulness and emotional intelligence can kick in and says, yeah, I feel anxious or sad or frustrated or angry. But that's exactly what makes it an opportunity to practice. So let me apply some of these skills to this.
And of course, Banjan, this this might seem very real to you guys because many of us go through those situations almost every day in our lives. And it's about how we can be mindful of the fact that we can use these skills. And hence, we provide these skills for you guys to practice and use. And the goal, as Dr. Robbins already talked about, is about all of us trying to lead a development-oriented lifestyle. And if you guys have a company, you own a company, and you want to make sure that your employees actually can have a fulfilled work experience and also lead a balanced life of work and life in their private life. In other words, you can actually organize workshops for them. And Dr. Shani Robbins actually provides his workshops, and all these the skills and also the stories discussed with you guys on air and on this particular series are based on empirical evidence. And Dr. Robbins actually consults corporates over here in the Bay Area and across the world, where he actually steps in and actually trains them on these skills, and they have seen productivity increase. Am I right about that, Dr. Robbins?
Yeah, that's right. We've actually assessed, we've taken pre and post assessments to see what the changes have been, and they're incredibly productive and successful. And so,
Yes.
so we're seeing empirically, I'm a big fan of science and empiricism, evidence-based, and all of this stuff is evidence-based practices.
Yep, and of course, Banjan, if you want to reach out to Dr. Robbins or his office for this, you can go to the website wisdomtherapy.com. Again, wisdomtherapy.com, or you can just message over here on the video, and we can actually get to send your inquiries to him, or you can go reach out to us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Radio Dehotties. And this wisdom series comes to you guys every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on air on Radio Dehotties Network. Good morning, Babel and Jan, 9:30 a.m. sharp, and of course on demand on this channel, Health 360. I want to thank Dr. Robbins again for coming on and talking to us about these skills, and we hope to talk to you more about these skills in the next upcoming segments.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And of course, Bajan, if at all you want to get more information, as I all told you, subscribe to this channel right now, and also listen to us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Radio Dehotties. Good morning, Bay, 9:30 a.m. sharp.